We serve so many groups that have a phobia of technology. Like they're looking for the end result. And so we actually have really enjoyed figuring out a way to make people forget about the headset altogether and feel empowered that no matter who they are, they can use immersive and it will be okay.
In part one of my conversation with Carrie Shaw, the founder and CEO of Embodied Labs, she talked about how her company trains caregivers to understand the perspective of people needing care through the use of virtual reality. In this second part of our conversation, Carrie talks about the interesting genesis of this idea, which involved serving dinner to her mother, and how she got from there to winning the Bill and Melinda Gates XR Prize Challenge, and onto building a thriving enterprise. Carrie, I'm excited to continue our conversation and to hear this interesting winding road, as you stated earlier, that it's been to run a tech company, which you never thought you'd be doing. Tell me, what's this journey from the inception to then getting funding and then growth, the initial customer base? What's one of the difficulties that you had to face that you were able to overcome, and something you can share about that tactic that you applied that allowed you to overcome that maybe another entrepreneur can learn from?
Yeah, a couple. I think, in terms of persistence as an entrepreneur, just never giving up, which sounds very basic, but and always expecting the timelines to be longer than you think. So when I came into this, I remember thinking, we've got a great idea. We're going to pitch it. 6 months, we'll be funded. We'll be great. I mean, but it's not just about funding. It's about the product, the MVP, getting it to market, showing traction. It's really this process over time. And so I think my advice to founders or entrepreneurs would be to view it as a long process and to really enjoy that process instead of finding it frustrating. And then, be able to look at building a strong company across all categories of value over time. Don't get distracted by what other people are doing, and realize that any headline you read looks like it was like made in that instant, but months and sometimes years of work go behind these big announcements that we see about financing rounds or partnerships.
Persistence, but also patience to not give up and keep working, even when you see other headlines that want to make you say, what? Come on. This journey that you've been on past 4 years, can you share any of the kind of data points of like, all right, it took us a year to get initial funding or to the MVP? What was kind of that timeline that you went along?
Yeah, we incorporated in July of 2016. We went into an accelerator program a month later. We actually won that accelerator. It was called the Creative Startups Accelerator Program. We got a no interest loan, and so also no equity taken by the organization, of $20,000. And we met our first ever angel investor through that accelerator. So we got our first pre-seed investment and raised a very small safe note of pre-seed capital. That took us to get our MVP built. So we went from having an 80 gigabyte hard drive that we could only showcase our first VR experience by carting in a plastic tub our developer's computer around Chicago. We had said, we got to figure out delivery here. We've got to make a platform. We've got to show how to drive data and analytics. Some of the first VR-ready laptops that weighed 13 pounds came out around that time, and we were able to actually build a delivery platform to host our first ever training experiences on. Then we raised another small pre-seed round of capital, at that point from angel investors that were thought leaders in the aging care space, digital health, immersive technology. And we also were applying, I have done so many startup competitions, which I I have a lot of thoughts on, and I recommend founders to be very careful about not doing too many. But we did win the Bill and Melinda Gates XR Prize Challenge. It was a global search for immersive tech solving workforce challenges. And we won $250,000 of non-dilutive capital. And so that combined with our pre-seed really got us where we needed to scale from having just a few early adopters in beta to actually getting 100 plus customers in 2019. And then we announced in January of 2020 the close of our first VC-backed round, our seed round of $3.2 million. And at that point, we had been building those relationships, again, not overnight, over more than a year to make sure that we had the right team on board.
Wow, well, it's quite a journey at each of those points. It keeps that momentum going, but it's not take it for granted of, oh yeah, it's just a breeze.
It did not happen in 6 months like I thought it would when we founded the company.
So the last year or so, actually 2 years, you said that winning the Bill and Melinda Gates prize gave you that initial funding to get towards your 100 first clients. What are some of the tactics that you applied to help scale to that 100 that maybe another entrepreneur can learn from?
Well, one thing that was really important was that we just embraced that we needed to get somewhat involved with hardware. So initially we said, we're a software company, they'll figure out the hardware and we'll deliver it. But a lot of our customers don't have immersive tech and they don't really want to know about it. They're not necessarily looking. I mean, we serve so many groups that have a phobia of technology. Like they're looking for the end result. And so we actually have really enjoyed figuring out a way to make people forget about the headset altogether and feel empowered that no matter who they are, they can use immersive and it will be okay.
So if your target market is has a tech phobia, you have to finding a way to just have the full complete solution so that they don't have to think about it is one way that worked for you to be able to scale.
Yeah,
Got
definitely.
it. Going forward from here, especially in the world that we're in at the moment, what do you see as the challenges you're going to need to overcome to grow even further?
Yeah, well, I think, one maybe elephant in the room I want to call out is that we're in a pandemic with a very a virus that transmits quickly. We don't completely understand. And for us to be sharing hardware is just not right now a best practice for infectious disease control. We do know that we have best practices for cleaning the headsets and have been through so many seasons of flu and have seen our healthcare providers go by those best practices. But there's some work we've done to create distance immersive learning and group training where you actually can still do immersive training without needing to share a device between people. And I think ultimately the end goal is that organizations are going to need to see the value in investing in a headset for each employee, even if maybe they're shipping them out and getting them back to clean and then repurpose. But we're going to need to see device management at the enterprise level to incorporate immersive technology into companies' IT infrastructure. There's a cost barrier to that. I think the costs of the headsets are coming down. And if you think about what it costs to fly an employee on site for a training and host, the flight, the hotel, the time, there's some things that we could say, the cost is already showing an ROI. But for even smaller organizations, it's even bigger of a cost barrier. And I just think those are exciting barriers that we know, and we're going to be able to overcome all of them. And there's ways to really bridge so that we can make those people able to access it, even if it's not like the ideal one-to-one again tomorrow that I, as an impatient entrepreneur, wish for.
Awesome. So this last question I have for you, more of a broad perspective, what kind of tech innovations do you predict we will see in the near term, the next year or two, and the long term, next 5 or 10 years?
Yeah, I think that we're going to see so many mixed reality innovations. I think in the next year, we'll see a few more headsets compete directly with the Quest. So we'll have more headsets that offer embedded hand tracking that are standalone. We'll see more uses for AR glasses this year, and really start to enjoy what extended reality can do for all of us. That's something, even when I think about the goggles here, like if my mom could have had a really great pair of AR goggles to listen to music, and when she couldn't maybe draw or do therapy the way that was easy, that extended reality could just transform our health and our mental health and our engagement with the world and with other people through that kind of presence of bringing people together through extended reality. In the next 5 years, I think we'll see the whatever the magic leap could have been, there will be something that's going to come out, and many things that just are like our smartphone, that give us that spatial computing in our back pocket, or where it won't be it won't be this anymore. I mean, let's face it, we got to get rid of like the face brick, and no one's saying that's the end goal. And so in 5 years, I think we're going to all really be enjoying the things we imagine for this technology, because the hardware will really start to catch up.
Have you seen a company using AI, machine learning, or other technology to transform the way we live, work, and do business? Go to uptechreport.com and let us know.